Barely a decade since the promulgation of the new constitution, but again now the country is all up in gears discussing about constitutional amendments. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Faisal, Kassim, and welcome to the live Real Talk. As I said earlier, it's just 9 years, actually. August 10th, 13 days ago, literally, marked 9 years since we promulgated the new constitution at the Uhuru Park, something that the whole country was celebrating. We were celebrating and joyous with our neighbors and our friends from across the world. And it was said to be one of the most progressive constitutions, not mentioning one of the best in Africa. But again, now we are having this discussion about constitutional amendments. So the question is it that the incumbent constitution have a lot of loopholes that it does not suffice the country right now? Or is it just because the development of the current constitution was not inclusive enough that people who felt they were not included feel that they need to voice out their opinions? Or is it just because we are a political nation, hence we thrive and enjoy politics day in, day out, night in, night out? Joining me to have this amazing discussion right now, we have the Secretary General of Third Way Alliance, the proposers of Punguza Mzigo, Mr. Fredrick Okango.
Yes.
Habari ya jioni.
Nzuri sana.
Karibu sana. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Sir, tell us about Punguza Mzigo. Why Punguza Mzigo? Why now? Why 2019? Have we given this constitution enough time to see the loopholes, to see the gaps in this constitution for us to start talking about another draft?
Thank you so much. First of all, I agree with you in your introduction when you say we do have one of the most progressive constitutions in the world. In fact, we have a constitution that is the only constitution in the world that has got a chapter dedicated to leadership and integrity.
Yes, true.
If you read the report on the COE, where my party leader, Dr. Ekuro Kot, was one of the drafters and he was the CEO, one of the recommendations, or rather one of the in one of their reports, they say that it will be very expensive to implement this constitution.
That's what they say.
And Kenyans were warned, even though it was passed overwhelmingly by over 70%.
Yes.
Now, that means, in terms of implementing the constitution, it requires a lot of money, number one. In terms of implementing the constitution, it requires leadership, not politics. And you also mentioned in your introductory remarks that, is it not inclusive enough? I can tell you, today, this constitution, the drafters of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, when they were coming up with the Article 132, where the president appoints the cabinet secretaries, the maximum number that you can appoint is 22. And these cabinet secretaries come with PSS. That means today you can actually have 22 cabinet secretaries from 22 tribes of Kenya, plus 22 PSS from other 22 tribes, plus a president and a deputy. Then you can accommodate everyone in this country. Okay. But why do we say Punguza Mizigo? Punguza Mizigo because when we went to the people, and by the way, our constitutional amendment proposal comes through a popular initiative that is envisaged in Article 257, that requires that the promoter must go to the people, collect their views, and those views are endorsed in terms of signatures by at least 1 million. And then you draft a bill from your general suggestions and take to IEBC. Then IEBC shall verify that the endorsers are registered voters.
Interesting.
And that's where we are today.
Thank
so
you.
I'll be taking you through why Punguza Mzigo.
Something that I'll really want to know, I mean, when you're talking about expensive to implement, and Dr. Okuru Okot, your party leader, knew about this. I don't know what was his stance with the current existing constitution. Did we warn Kenyans? Did we create enough awareness about the implementation of this constitution?
How we arrived at the Constitution of Kenya 2010. We were coming from a post-election violence, and Kenyans needed a quick fix. And you know, constitution making is a negotiated process. It is a negotiated process that the politicians will come with their views, the civil society will come with their views, the religious leaders will come with their views, and a good constitutional builder must accommodate the views of everyone. And we are coming from independence constitution to a new constitution. At that time, the builders of the constitution had to listen to everyone. And they enabled this constitution to be amended, or rather to have a room for amendment, by creating Article 255.
Exactly.
And they told us, if you want to amend the constitution, you can go through two ways, either parliamentary or popular. And when we are going through popular, these are the issues that can only be amended through a popular.
Which still I cannot see the hindrance factor of creating awareness about the expense of implementing the current structures that we are experiencing in this new constitution.
You see, today, it is a fact that our country, Kenya, is a developing nation.
Yes.
And by the time you have a representation of 416 members of parliament, that is only representing 46 million Kenyans, I want you to compare, and that's where we came from when we were coming up with Punguza Mizigo proposals. Okay. United States has got over 350 million people. The representation is 300. India, the largest democracy, 1.3 billion. Representation is 1,200. China, 1.4 billion. Represented around 800. And if you look at Kenya, a population of closely, maybe today, after census, we'll be told maybe around 50, but today we can say 46. Yeah. Represented by 416 members. We are 400% overrepresented. And you know what? We are not able to. And that's why we borrow so much. And this money that we borrow cannot go into development. It goes into what is called recurrent expenditure. Look at the county government. Look at the national government. All the money is going into paying state officers. Therefore, there is a need, and an urgent need, to ensure that the supreme law, the Constitution of Kenya 2010, is fixed so that the taxpayer who pays for all this burden is relieved.
Now, are you looking at fixing the current constitution, or are you looking at having a total overhaul of this constitution?
No. We are not looking at total overhaul. We are talking about constitution amendment. When you are amending, you are not overhauling. You are looking, and by the way, given an opportunity, if you were given an opportunity, we'd relook at the entire constitution. But again, as I say, major amendments. And I'll take you through where the major amendments will come.
Interesting. You've said that you have included stakeholders, and particularly the citizens of this nation, and you've gone down to select not only the signatures, to collect not only the signatures,
but the views
too. Views as well. So what criteria did you use in selecting views from the nation?
I'll tell you. A lot of people have argued out there that our process did not have public participation. And that is a very simplistic argument, my friend. Because if you read Article 257 of the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, it says that you formulate this from a general suggestion that comes from the people, and then you draft a bill. Now, we started by 3 points. Why Punguza Mizigo? As we were going through to the counties, by the time we are getting to county number 15, we had 16 reasons from Kenyans. And it is, if you read our memorandum of objects, you can see those reasons and justification. Yeah. Kenyans said they want a lean parliament that is strengthened and the cost of running it is lowered. Kenyans said they want to ensure that devolution is strengthened so that more money can go to the counties. Kenyans said they want to see the end of historical injustices that is bited against women. Because in elective politics, women are not there. Kenyans said they want an election system where after every election, we don't go fighting because of presidency. They want the presidency demystified. Kenyans said we must lower the wage bill and the recurrent expenditure. And they said we must now look at our institutions. Commissions, do we really need them, or we need few?
And thus the question I'm asking, what criteria did you use in selecting the
we
interviewees
never selected
that you selected?
Anyone. We walked into marketplaces, we walked into the malls, we walked to bus stops, we walked into town halls and spoke to Kenyans that we found. By the way...
And why would you select X and not Y? What criteria did you use? Why would you select X and not Y to take their views on the constitution?
No, we didn't select. We didn't select. The Constitution of Kenya 2010 under Article 257 says that anyone who wants to go through a population shall collect at least a million signatures
Yes.
of the endorsers. It doesn't say you go and collect them in Muranga or in Embu or in Homa Bay. It just million signatures of registered voters. Those people must be voters.
Okay, irrespective of where they're coming from. Of course, and that's why it still begs the question of inclusivity, Mr. Fred.
What is inclusivity?
How much did you include the stakeholders?
Inclusivity, in its raw and true meaning, is when every Kenyan in this country has got access to equitable share of the national resources and local resources. That is inclusivity. And
yes,
that inclusivity can only be demonstrated when you go out there and speak to the people, not invite people into a boardroom and tell them that you want to amend the constitution. That cannot happen.
Interesting. Still, going down there, just looking at it practically speaking, I'm going there to the market. I want to take your views on the constitution. Okay, so why would I talk to Mr. Njoroge and not Mr. Kamau?
Listen, the theme is punguza mizigo. Who is more burdened in this country?
The Mwananchi.
Correct. Mwananchi from where? From Lavington, Nairobi? From Muthaiga?
The Wanjiko down there.
Now that's why we went to Wanjiko. The Wanjiko of this country
and why not Maureen, who is the neighboring Kibanda?
Yes, the Wanjiko and Maureen and Atieno and the Koi of this country are in the villages, in the wards, in the counties. The Constitution under Article 6 says the territories of Kenya are divided into counties. That's where you find the people. So we went to the counties because the people are in the counties. And those are the people that carry the heaviest burden. We didn't go to a billionaire in Runda. No, we had to go to the real Punda who is carrying the burden. That person is in the villages, is in the marketplace. He is a shoe shiner, he is a boda guy, he is a conductor, he is a driver. That is the person that told us, listen, gentlemen, you want to amend the Constitution of Kenya? Yes. My views are these. We must have a lean parliament, not a market where there are 416 thieves who even take 10,000 shillings to trash a sugar report. So we want our women to be included in the elective post. We want to enhance integrity to punish severely thieves of public money. Those are the views of Kenyans, not our views.
And we'll get to that. So what are the major features, what are the major characteristics in this draft that in the Punguza Mzigo that are not captured well or are not strengthened in the current constitution?
I'll give you number one.
Yes.
Integrity. I said one of the reasons why the world view our constitution as the most progressive in the world, and this is a fact, we are the only country that has got a chapter dedicated to leadership and integrity. Yes. But look at our country. Today, you steal 800 billion and you become an instant celebrity, then you are voted a governor, an MCA. You understand?
Yes.
Does Chapter 6 work for us? No, it doesn't work. Why? We have an institution called the Auditor General's Office. It is the only institution mandated under Article 229 to audit all books of government. This institution does an audit for 6 months. They do a paper trail and they report on audit finding and submit that report to Parliament. In their report, today look at all the counties. None of these counties have managed an audit report that is admirable. Most of them are adverse,
but there are counties that have been given clean bill of health.
No, none. Show me, give me the example, I'll give you. None. They are closer and only one. And therefore, it means we must now strengthen the Auditor General Office. How are we going to do that? By Punguza Mizigo? We have said in the Auditor General Office, we are going to amend Article 229 and create a Department of Forensic Audit so that when the Auditor General does his finding or her finding, he submits a report that has got forensic audit findings. Then we amend Article 157, ODPP, so that when the ODPP finds this report, he doesn't guess and take people to court, and then is the same person to apply and say, no, I need time to investigate. Kamata Friday with no action. I mean, we must be serious people. We have said that is the first step of enhancing integrity. Number two, in our bill, we have also said, why do we still have NYS 1 and NYS 2 being in court today? And these are issues of economic crime. When you steal money meant for public funds, You are a murderer. You are a killer. Because you steal money meant for hospitals, you are denying people oxygen, blood transfusion, hospital bed. You are actually a killer. Now we have said, upon conviction, then you also must be jailed for life. Because we don't need you in the society. You are a killer. And we're saying, the moment you are arraigned in court, let us shorten the period, 30 days. And if there's appeal, 21 days. So within 50 days, we shall have finished with cases of theft of public money. In our party, we don't call it corruption. There's nothing like corruption. If I ask you today in your mother tongue what is corruption, you'll tell me it is theft. And therefore, we must deal with theft in a punitive way if we are going to rescue. Imagine in this country, we borrow 700 billion and steal 700 billion. It means we are even stealing on what we have overborrowed. We are on the negative. You understand?
True. With our debt mark hitting the red line, and that is how exactly. And that is how we are taking a short break right now, because we are still expecting our other two guests. We're expecting Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, who played a key role in developing the current constitution, and Professor Herman, Manyora, who will be making their way. We had communication from them that they are on their way, and we are just getting started. So, send Bali.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Wake up to exciting mornings every day. Active Jumatatu with Muhammad Obuga. Take Tuesday with Yusuf Farah.
800 million jobs will be lost to artificial intelligence.
Wednesday, the special edition Business Chat with Ibtisam Jamal. All about your health on Healthy Thursday with Mariam Mwacharo. Aisha Khan with thorny pertinent issues every Friday on the Round Table. Fresh discussions, direct probe in Sabah Show, only on Horizon TV.
Am I allowed as a woman to ask for divorce in a marriage that I feel it's not working? Yes, you're allowed to ask for divorce so long as that divorce you're asking is in accordance to the teachings of Islam. I always caution ladies, women, married women, not just to jump for divorce and ask for divorce maybe because the man used to have money, he could provide, now he's not able to provide, or because of any materialistic issues. So yes, that is a right you have as long as it is according to the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Thanks so much, Issa Bakarim Tamo, super producer right there at the gallery, Asante Sana. We are joined by Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, who played a key role, of course, in the Bomas draft and played in having the current constitution that we are enjoying right now. And Mr. Fredrick Okango says we need to have major changes in this constitution. And this is what I was saying
before we went on break. You
Yes.
see, the Constitution of Kenya 2010 has been admired. And
Widely.
It has been admired widely. It has been admired in the world. It's the only constitution, and I repeat, that has got a dedicated chapter.
Thank you.
For leadership and integrity.
Thank you so much. And I wanted to look at the second point that you brought. Of course, we'll come back to the integrity, of integrity, corruption. One of the factors you've mentioned is a huge wage bill, and that the constitution, this one is quite expensive to implement.
It is.
So the question begs, is it really that the constitution is expensive to implement, or we are having a huge wage bill, or corruption, the cancerous disease that's on our face, every day on our papers.
It's both. It's both.
That making us
Implementation
not
of
to...
the Constitution is expensive in a country that is not doing so well. Implementation of the Constitution is expensive in a country that there are so many thieves that steal public money. And therefore, it requires us to step back and think again. Number one of the biggest mzigo that Punguza Mizigo Bill 2019 is trying to address is theft of public money. And we are doing that, as I explained earlier, by enhancing integrity. Today, we must all agree that we have so many people who have been adversely mentioned in theft of public money. They have been adversely mentioned in no value for money cases. They have worked in court and out. They are out here. Today, some of them are governors. They are ministers. They are... Now,
they've mentioned but not been convicted.
Yes. Why?
Thank you.
Why?
Maybe there's not sufficient evidence.
I agree with you, and that's why we are saying, so that the ODPP can have sufficient evidence. Let us go back to Article 229. Let us look at this office. They do public audit. Where do their report go? Where do their recommendation? This is an audit finding. When an auditor comes to your office, my friend, he doesn't come to attack you. He follows a paper trail. If you wire money, there is somebody, that money went to another account, the signatures, that is where we should start. And that report should be the first piece of evidence that should be used by ODPP in a court of law. So that when you are investigating theft in public office, you start from there. Why do we have him? It is a matter of evidence. You don't arraign people in court and then say, give me time to go and do investigation, while you knew very well you have done your investigation. That's how these thieves get away with murder here.
Okay, maybe our sheikh, who is also a legal brain and played a key role in developing this current constitution, maybe they're being arrested so that they don't interfere with the investigations. You know, in Kenya, there are those allegations that the moment you're out there, you're free, then chances are high that you're going to interfere with the investigations and maybe intimidate some quote-unquote witnesses. Sheikh, when developing these constitutions, there are 16 major changes Third Way Alliance is proposing. Are these things that you foresaw when coming up with this constitution? And there's the whole theme of this new draft is Punguza Mzigo, and it's saying that it is quite expensive to implement this current constitution. And you were there on the forefront with your colleagues.
Let me begin by saying this. Punguza Mizigo is very attractive to every Kenyan, and particularly the Wanjiko of this country. And this constitution is about Wanjiko. I know many Kenyans don't know where the word Wanjiko came from. I think just to remind young Kenyans and yourself where Wanjiko, the name Wanjiko came from, is when President Moi, the retired president, felt that the ordinary mwananchi does not have the capacity to deal with this issue of the constitution, and he wanted it done by the politicians. And he said, huyu ukipelekea Wanjiko hii katiba anajua kitu gani? That's where the name Wanjiko came up from. Meaning, by that time, I was in Ufungamano. At that time, we were parallel with Parliament until we joined CKRC and the process started. And one of the fundamental things about this constitution is that it is a people-driven constitution, the people's choice.
Are you talking about the current constitution
the current constitution? I'm talking about the current constitution. I'll come to Punguza Mizigo.
Okay.
So actually, if there is any Muzigo, and I want to believe there is a Muzigo, the person who is feeling that Muzigo is not living in Karen, is not driving a Prado, is not living in Runda.
Yes.
Is living in Madare and Majengo and the Kibiras of this world. This is the Wanjiko of this world. They are the people who are feeling the weight. So it's attractive to talk about Punguza Mizigo. My only problem is this, and one thing, as he said, I heard him say talk about the amendments to the constitution and the proposals. This was envisaged. This is a man-made document, and the preamble says it all. It's we, the people of Kenya, who gave ourselves this document. It's not revealed from God. So amendment was envisaged. That's why within the constitution itself, we have special articles that talk about the different ways through which we can come up with proposals. And one of them is the popular initiative. So whatever Third Way Alliance is doing is within the law, within the constitution itself.
Perfectly fine. And
My problem is this. We need to look at the underlying root causes of the problems we have. I heard somebody say here, and I know it myself, 416 members of parliament. Wanjiko is bearing that weight, and many other offices. Did we actually need all those offices, those many offices, those many people representing us? Why is it that at the end of the day, because we collected the views of almost every person in this country, we went to all the regions of this country, and that's why the process took us 4 long years. By the time we went to Bomas, it is the raw views of Wanjiko that were being now analyzed at Bomas. The Constitution of Kenya Review Commission, the consultative forum at Bomas was reviewing the raw. What I mean by raw didn't have to be in legal language, the language of Wanjiko in the street. And it's like they felt we need a constitution that will take care of the Wanjiko in the streets, not only the big people up there. But the problem, and let me tell you, a constitution is as good as its implementation. If you ask me, Faisal, I'll tell you, even the old constitution,
yes,
of course it required some amendments, but had we fully implemented that constitution? The answer is no. Have we fully implemented
this constitution?
Yeah, we have a beautiful chapter 6, leadership and integrity. Have we even attempted to implement that? If we did, half the people out there would be in today and they will not be in leadership positions, because measured against the provisions of that chapter, they fall below par. So our problem is about implementation. Now, we are agitating for amendments, and I support amendments, and especially where the purpose of the amendments is to reduce the load on Wanjiko, because Wanjiko is suffering. But the problem is that why do we feel that we want everybody on board? We want to create more positions. It's about resources again. This country does not suffer from lack of resources. The problem we have in this country is the unfair distribution of resources in this country. And you've heard people saying, this is our time to eat the meat, you can swallow saliva. What does that tell the Kenyans, you know? So it's about resources. So everybody wants to be represented. So the kind of constitution that we want is a constitution that will make me feel, okay, it doesn't matter whether it's a Turkana, a Luo, a Kikuyu who is up there, but my interest will be taken care of. That is the kind of constitution I want.
That is quite interesting.
So Faisal, my problem is that even if we come up with amendments, but we are not sincere and we have not moved away from ethnicized politics of this country, that I want to see my man there, a person who speaks the same mother tongue with me, then I'll feel I'm represented. So we'll still have that burden. So is the problem the constitution or the problem is implementation? If you ask me, it's both. Both. We can come up with another punguzwa one. We can as well go ahead and punguza the mzigo. Yes. But unless we are ready to implement it to the letter, believe me, we'll still have a problem. Fredrick Okango, this constitution, this current constitution was supposed to take leadership and power to the Mwananchi, to empower the Mwananchi. Yes. And we've clearly seen that by the number of people who want to vie for these elective seats. And in your current draft of Punguza Mzigo, you want to reduce the representation as well at the same time, because you're arguing that we are overrepresented. I want to draw your attention to one of your points. I think it's point number 2, where you want to abolish the 290 constituencies.
Now, Faisal, let me start from where we left before I come there.
Yes.
The contestation in this country has been at the presidency, because we believe, Kenyans, that resources follow presidency. And that's why there is urgent need to demystify presidency. How do you do that? Number 1, we must strengthen devolution. One of the best things that happened to Kenyans is devolution. But you notice that devolution ends at the county headquarters. In Punguza Mizigo, we have proposed that now we must have a devolution beyond the county headquarters. How do you do that? How do you do that? Number 1, we must increase the resources. Why do we have 85% of the money at the national government, while the people of Kenya are in the counties, while the devolved functions are in the counties? Why? So we have said, currently, the Constitution of Kenya under Article 203 says at least 15% of that money shall be given to the counties. We have said at least 35. That word at least means even 80, even 50. That is the minimum. Number 2, when we do that, we also must now ensure that we adopt the word as the primary unit of accelerated development. in this country, every county has a ward. The people of Kenya are in those wards. We want to measure the success of devolution through the smallest unit called the ward. And therefore, it is in our vision as Punguza Mizigo that in every ward we are going to have, number one, we must have model equipped and staffed school, model equipped and staffed hospital, roads, hospitals, infrastructure, water. That is the only way you can equalize Kenya. He said the distribution of resources in this country has made it unequal. I agree with him. But now, we have 416 members of parliament, and we have got, I think, 349 members of National Assembly. They get CDF annually. Just hold on. Okay. I want to get to where you want to go. This CDF, is there value for representation? When we went out and we asked Kenyans, between over-representation, having more elected leaders on this side, and having more money in your ward, which one would you choose? You know what they told us? The 1.4 million Kenyans? They told us, we do want more money so that we don't care who becomes the president. And that's why we said, the best way to have that money, let us have that money trickle down to the smallest devolved unit where you are. My grandmother in Homa Bay County, Kabondo Kasipul constituency, Kakelo Kukwanyo ward, needs not to come to Kenyatta National Hospital for screening for cancer. She doesn't need that. We have a government that is working. And objects of devolution under Article 174 says that the communities shall be enabled to manage their own affairs and, more importantly, do their development. You cannot do that without money. We don't see the need of this government keeping 85% of the money, and the people of Kenya are down there. We don't see the
think
that is the biggest burden.
Still bring the issue of money and resource allocation, and we don't tackle the issue of corruption.
I started by saying,
that's why I brought the other question.
Our issue, the biggest, and I'll tell you at the tail end, how much Punguza Mizigo is going to save Kenyans by just fixing the issue of corruption.
And I'm just going to start with that in the third segment, but now still with my question about representation.
Okay. Representation. I'll give you a perfect example of Nairobi County. Nairobi County has got 17 members of parliament. Every year, Nairobi County gets through CDF 17 times 100, 1.7 billion. Okay? Mm-hmm. It has got 85 wards that receive nothing. In fact, if the member of county assembly is not in terms with the member of parliament and the governor, they receive nothing. Do you know who is punished? The Wanjiku in that ward. Now, what is the value of having 17 members of parliament who do literally nothing, collect CDF and wait for campaign, and you have MCAs who knows how many orphans are in this ward, how many classrooms need tarmac, how many roads need tarmac, how many classrooms need desk, and this person is right there. Why don't we use this person that is closest to Wanjiku than using 17? The value of representation, in short, is in resources, not in the number of representatives.
Interesting, and that's how we're taking a break right here on the live Real Talk, the second segment. They say numbers don't lie, and that's where we're going to start. Numbers don't lie indeed. What is Punguza Mizigo likely to save you, the taxpayer? This and much more after the break.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Wake up to exciting mornings every day. Active Jumatatu with Muhammad Obura. Tech Tuesday with Yusuf Farah.
800 million jobs will be lost to artificial intelligence.
Wednesday, the special edition Business Chat with Ibtisam Jamal. All about your health on Healthy Thursday with Mariam Mwacharo. Aisha Khan with thorny pertinent issues every Friday on the round table. Fresh discussions, direct probe in Sabah Show, only on Horizon TV.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
And welcome back to the third and unfortunately the last segment of the live real talk. And the discussion right here in the studio is quite heated. Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, a key brain in the current constitution.
The Bomas Constitution.
Bomas Constitution.
Yeah, the Bomas draft.
The Bomas
Yes,
draft.
there's the Bomas draft. I'm part of the Bomas, not this one.
Not this one, the Bomas draft.
Yes.
Very interesting. And you raised a very interesting point by saying that even the previous constitution was not 100% implemented. And this constitution came with a whole commission,
Yes.
the child-led Constitution Implementation Commission.
Exactly.
And we have not seen it to fruition. Should we go on with the discussion of having major changes and major amendments in this constitution? Maybe we see it
Faisal,
to fruition first. before we
Faisal, let me tell
judge
you
it.
one thing. One of the problems we had when we were given the task to review the constitution is, number one, how do you review something that you don't know? It's just like you tell me, I have a shirt to be mended. I need, first of all, to understand that shirt, see where it requires amendment. And we were shocked that even our members of parliament were not conversant with the constitution. They had not read it, especially the ones who are not lawyers. Those of them who are lucky enough to have been lawyers, at least they would have read, or those who have had cases and they were forced to go and look at what they could rely on in the constitution. 95% of Kenyans did not know what is in the constitution. So our first task was to go around and do civic education. Very deliberate civic education. This constitution is now 9 years old. I doubt whether Kenyans even know exactly what is in that constitution. Have we read that constitution enough? Have we read that constitution? If you ask me, I doubt. So point number one, what we need to do, whether we need amendments or not, for me, I'll say yes, we need, and it was envisaged by the constitution. This is a man-made document. If we find that it has a problem, it is our constitution, and we have the right to amend that constitution. But the question is this: do we fully understand what is in the constitution? Step number one. So we need to make sure that Kenyans understand what they have right now. Two, it is only through understanding what is in the constitution that they can tell, now we know where we went wrong in this constitution. So we should begin by educating Kenyans, not politicking, not politicizing the current constitution. Because how many Kenyans know that we have that chapter, and beyond just knowing it's there and what exactly it says and the powers that the Mwananchi, Wanjiko, has against leaders if the leaders are not fit to be in office. Many people don't know that. So we need to begin by educating Kenyans, empowering them by letting them know what is in the constitution. If you ask me, if the current constitution was implemented fully, would be able to deal with the issues of corruption, because we have enough provisions therein if implemented. So our problem is implementation, and any constitution is as good as its implementation. That's where we've gone wrong. Number two, when we were doing the constitution, you know, many Kenyans have forgotten this, because now I can see politicians are leading Punguza Mizigo. I would have loved to see Ekuro Okot, the leader of Thado, who is a personal friend of mine. If he had been elected as the president of Kenya and came up with this initiative, it would be more appealing than when he's outside. For reasons. Somebody can easily say it's because he reached out for the presidency, he did not get it, and now he's not happy with that. Let me tell you what happened when we were reviewing the constitution. People had a problem with the presidency under the old constitution. It gave the president a lot of powers, okay? Some people who benefited from this current constitution, who did not want the review of the constitution and said thinking about a new constitution is like thinking about cutting the mugumo with a blade, wanted that constitution amended when they were in the opposition. As soon as they came in, they started resisting change. Why? They wanted now to enjoy the powers that were in the constitution. So I would like a person sitting in power not that we don't have a right even when we are outside, to also say, although I am in power, I think there is a heavy mzigo on Wanjiko. I want to use my position.
On power.
Yeah, and then we amend this constitution. You know what I'm telling you, I see lack of sincerity in all this. I see vested interest in all this. So can we begin by being sincere with what we are doing? All these promises, they're beautiful. Let me tell you, devolution is the best thing that has happened to this country. Anytime I go to Northeastern, I've just come from there, I see tarmac in Wajir, that is courtesy of devolution. I see tarmac in Mandera, I see all the development there. With all the corruption, with all the billions being eaten, we still have that. You can imagine if we really implemented devolution. So all these promises, I would like them to be given to Kenyans by people who are very sincere, not politicians just politicking. We've been promised a lot by politicians. Yes, I have to say that very sincerely. Let him ban because he's a politician. Number two, can we begin by educating Kenyans what is in this current constitution? Because some of them might not know the mzigo, and they might not know some of the provisions within the current constitution that we have not fully implemented, that if we implemented them, we can be able at least to address some of the problems that are facing us. But mzigo that is heavy, I want to agree with him. This mzigo is heavy. The mzigo is there, definitely. Mr. But Fredrick, can we be sincere?
Mr. Fredrick, as you're responding to that, maybe you can also integrate it with numbers. What you want to talk about now, numbers. So with this, when you see this punguza mzigo to fruition, how much are we looking at that go to the Wanjiko's kitty?
Now, let me start from where he left. And I like his argument because it is true that there are a lot of people who don't know what is in this constitution. You know why? Because some people came out and said, I've read it for you. And if so-and-so has read it, why should we read it?
You guys just vote yes.
Political patronage, and it is wrong. And today you have seen the same people going out and telling others, wait for a certain report. That is the problem we have in this country. The institution of politics has been infiltrated with very selfish individuals who, if it is not them, then it should never be anyone. And that's why the Punguza Mizigo team is being fought left, right, and center, because they're asking, you arrived from where? Who are you? And you know what? The Constitution of Kenya gives everyone the right. One of the aspects, the principle of this constitution is the public participation. It cuts across. That is a big principle in the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And it gives the common man an opportunity to give views on what they would want to see in marriage. Now, in implementing, and a time has come that we are not talking about if, we're talking about when. Because it is here. This bill is in the county assembly. It is with the county assembly members. But they shall pass it because they know that what is in this document is good for the people they represent. Now, let's start from theft of public money. If we implement, or when we implement, we shall save this country 3.5 trillion. 3.5 trillion. Severely punishing theft of thieves of public money. Do you know what that is? It's more than our current national budget. Number two, in 5 years. Okay. Number two, by abolishing 290 constituencies alone and adopting the county as the unit of election to the National Assembly, where you bring one man, one woman, you shall save Wanjiku 155 billion in 5 years.
At what cost?
At the cost of having people who don't work for you. They just go in parliament, get bribes, trash reports at the cost of 10,000. Why do you need them? There's no value of
the few ones who are working.
The few ones who are working shall go back and run as a member of parliament from a county.
Interesting.
Number two, by automating voter registration alone, 20 billion. But there's something I have to talk about. It's called demystifying the presidency. It has been a bone of contention. People fight in this country because they believe they won the presidency, or they believe they didn't lose fairly. We must demystify the presidency. We must now ensure we look at how are we going to stop the economic meltdown that comes every 5 years. How are we going to do that? Number one, do we really need to have a president that served 5 years and has got an opportunity to serve another 5 years under Article 142? No. If you ask me, no. The reasoning behind Punguza Mizigo, it is a burden. It is a burden because when you are a president and you know that you have another 5 years to come, you know what you do in the first year? You start pleasing your friends, and corruption is accelerated in that first term. Because you say, if anything, I'll start working in the second term. Number two,
to leave a
I want to
legacy.
give you historical facts.
Yes.
1992, 1997, 2007, 2017, people fought in this country because of the power of incumbency and a rogue opposition, where the rogue opposition says, this guy must go. The incumbents say, no, I will not be the first president in Kenya to serve one term. Conflict. So if you had a president that is serving one term for 7 years, in America, they go 2 terms, 8 years. And look at what they have done.
4 years
So
each.
we are saying, within 7 years, you can do wonderful things. Number one, get into the job, you are elected, work from the word go, and then allow another person to come in. It has been a bone of contention in this country. People fight for presidency. The last one, wage bill and recurrent expenditure. I'll give you an example. We have, under Article 250, commissions. The Constitution, Article 250, says that we shall have at least 3, but not more than 9. Do you know what the parliamentarians did when they acted a law? They acted a law that allows the commissioners to be permanent and 9 maximum. They come with motorcade, security, PA, office. That is a mizigo. We have proposed in Punguza Mizigo, let us have a maximum of 3, a maximum of 5, and at least 3 that are working on part-time basis only. We have a secretariat. Why do we need commissioners permanent? When you do that, you shall save this country another 22 billion. We have deputy governors. Why do we have a deputy governor? We have proposed, upon election, the governor shall nominate from the CEC, somebody who will be the principal assistant. And in the unlikely event that that seat fell vacant, let us go for substantive election. We are in Nairobi today. We don't have a deputy governor, and we can see.
Yes.
West Pokot, do we have? We don't have.
We do. On paper.
No, on paper.
We do.
And he's not earning salary.
We do.
He's not earning salary.
Yes.
And work is going.
So what we are saying,
yeah. Punguza Mizigo Bill 2019 is a bill that is coming at the right time. At the right time when Kenyans have seen. And I agree with what he said. It would have been better for somebody in that office to come up with this because it will be true. But you know what? The people outside here, me, him, and the many out are the only people who know that the burden is heavier where. The person inside there who steals every day cannot understand where the burden is. So it is important that the outsider like Dr. Ekuru Okot, who believes that this country is bigger than all of us, to champion this. If anything, majority of these people who are now saying, let's wait for report 1, report B, do you know what they want? They want to lie to people using what is called inclusivity lie to create positions. We are not interested. And we must go for Punguza Mizigo, and that Mizigo is theft, overrepresentation, women being excluded, the minority being excluded, resources not being shared equitably.
Yes.
All those things are Mizigo.
Can I take that as your parting shot?
I'll give my senior.
Please, Sheikh Ibrahim, your parting shot because of...
this is very appealing.
Yes.
Because the truth be said, Kenyans are suffering under the burden of implementing this constitution. The number of offices. The question we need to ask ourselves very sincerely as Kenyans, that do we need all these many offices that we have? Because we have to pay for them ourselves. The answer is no. How do we address that? Can we address that? The constitution envisaged that, and we should go for that. But my problem is about sincerity. We need people who are very sincere to spearhead this process. I want to say again, my parting shot is this.
Yes.
Every Kenyan listening to me out there, remember, the guy sitting in power out there did not put himself there. And the Constitution in chapter 1 says very clear, the power belongs to the people of Kenya. They are exercising those powers on the behalf of the people of Kenya. The people of Kenya, within even the current constitution, have powers to tell them, stop what you're doing, do this. You're stealing our money.
But those are things Kenyans don't know.
So that's why I'm saying the beginning point for me is that, dear Kenya, read this constitution, understand it. Don't let politicians read it for you. Read it for yourself.
Thank you so much. Asante sana. How about we have this discussion on Punguza Mzigo, bring in Dr. Fred, the Secretary General, Mr. Fred, bring in, let's say, Dr. Okuru Okot, and other leaders. And we bring you, the Mwananchi. We bring you, the Mwananchi, our viewers back at home. We bring you in a public forum where they're going to answer all your questions, because I'm receiving a lot of questions from you guys. And because of time, you cannot answer those questions.
What you need to do, and this is to the media.
Yes.
People talk about constitutional amendments in funerals, in weddings, and political podium.
Yes.
What now you need to do as the media, bring the proponents of constitutional amendment in a public debate.
Yes.
And let them tell Kenyans why this, why
that's
this.
what I'm saying. Even before we bring the other side, we don't know which other side is there. We don't know which other side is existing.
They have said.
Exactly. We don't know which other side is existing. Thanks so much, Dr. We don't know which other side is existing. But even before we bring the other side, how about we bring the Punguza Mzigo champions in a forum where you will attend that forum, and we have that discussion about Punguza Mzigo, and you ask all your questions. When you talk about Mzigo, I'm sure some of you have an idea right now, but majority don't. Now, we have people from the other end, the Building Bridges Initiative, leaders championing that, saying that guys from the Punguza Mzigo are just looking for positions. And of course, we have people from the other hand who are claiming the same. Leadership is action and not position. Those are the words of Donald McGannon. You don't need a position to show your leadership skills. And you, the Mwananchi, you, the Wanjiko down there, will have the ultimate choice, the ultimate decision of saying to the yes or no, whether it's Punguza Mzigo or the other proposed document that we are yet to see. No speculation. Apologies from Professor Herman Manyora. Next week we are likely to have him, inshallah, to have more discussions on this. I've been your host, Faisal Kassim, and this has been Live Real Talk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Gentlemen, thank you. Asante sana.
You mean you're still live?
Yes,
we were talking.
You're still live. It's okay. No, we're still live.